Let's get real today. In this age of rapid change, evolving gender roles, and so much confusion about identity, being a traditional man or a traditional woman is either glorified, ridiculed, or just plain misunderstood. But what does it actually mean to live out these roles? I'm not here to sugarcoat or spin fairy tales. You're getting the blunt truth, whether you like it or not. You might agree. You might disagree. Either way, it's going to make you reflect on where you stand. Being a traditional man or woman isn't about reverting to outdated stereotypes or living in the past. No, at its core, it's about responsibility, honor, and complementary roles that build something lasting. Let me be clear. It's not about toxic submission, domination, or archaic gender norms. It's about a balance that has worked throughout history. The modern world can scoff all it wants, but the truth is still the truth. A traditional man isn't some caricature obsessed with being the alpha, flexing his muscles and intimidating people around him. That's not real strength, it's insecurity. A traditional man leads through service and protection, not control. Responsibility. If you think being a man is about how much you bench or how loud you shout, you're clueless. A traditional man understands he's responsible, not just for himself, but for his family, his community, and sometimes even strangers. Look at the societies that thrived. Men weren't respected because they were bullies. They were respected because they worked, built, and protected. A real man isn't driven by ego, he's driven by duty. His family's well-being, that's on him. Discipline isn't sexy. It's not about feeling motivated every day or chasing your dreams. It's about grinding, doing what needs to be done, even when you're exhausted. The traditional man gets up, works, and does what's necessary. No whining, no blaming the world. That's what separates a man from a boy. The men who hold their families together, they aren't flashy. They aren't crying about how hard life is. They make sacrifices and they don't complain. They put their family's needs first, period. Let's talk strength. Not the gym bro strength, not the flashy stuff. Real strength is stability. It's being unshakable when everything around you is falling apart. If your wife is stressed, your kids are scared, you stay solid. You don't buckle, you don't panic, you stand firm because they need you. Part 2. The traditional woman. Now let's get into what it means to be a traditional woman. And no, it's not about being weak or submitting to some overbearing guy. That's nonsense. A traditional woman brings something to the table that's just as important as what the man does, if not more. Nurturer. A traditional woman nurtures. Not because she's forced to, but because that's where her strength lies. She holds the family together emotionally, spiritually, and in ways a man simply cannot. Look at the women who raised you, your mother, your grandmother. Their compassion, their wisdom, their strength. That's power. That's not being lesser, it's being essential. The power of influence. And let's clear something up. Being a traditional woman doesn't mean being silent. In fact, it's often the opposite. A traditional woman influences everything around her. She shapes her family's future. Behind every strong, successful man, you'll find a woman who offers advice, support, and sometimes correction. That influence isn't small, it's pivotal. Complement, not compete. Here's where modern thinking gets it wrong. A traditional woman doesn't see herself in competition with her husband. They're a team. They complement each other. His strengths and her strengths work together to create something far more powerful than either could alone. That's the balance. Part 3. What this means for you. Let's get personal. You've heard what it means to be a traditional man or woman. But here's the question. Where do you stand? In a world that's obsessed with blurring lines, breaking norms, and undermining everything that came before, are you stepping up? Men, are you protecting your family, providing stability, and being the rock they need? Or are you checking out, refusing responsibility, blaming the world for your failures? Women, are you embracing the role of nurturer and guide? Or are you caught up in competing for dominance in a way that leaves everyone drained? Here's the reality. It's easy to mock these roles. It's easy to say, that's not for me, or that's outdated. But the proof is in the results. Look at families, societies, and relationships built on these principles. They're strong. They endure. They're not perfect, but they work. Here's your challenge. Stop dismissing traditional values as relics of the past. These values work when they're applied with love, integrity, and respect. They create strong families, strong communities, and ultimately, a strong society. Before you write them off as old-fashioned, take a look at yourself. Are you building something lasting, or are you tearing down what's already proven to work? That's your challenge. Reflect on it. And remember, this isn't about nostalgia for the past. It's about building a future that stands strong on principles that have withstood the test of time. It's time to decide. Are you living up to the responsibility, or are you hiding from it? Choose wisely.